Hello everyone, welcome on Youth Talks channel again. Today we have Dr. Kishori Kasat with us. We are going to discuss on topic transformation in teaching learning assessment after COVID-19. We have Dr. Kishori Kasat who is a assistant professor in Symbiosis University. She has been working there from last 17 years. So I welcome you Dr. Kishori Kasat.
Yeah, thank you, Mansi.
My first question will be, do you believe that COVID-19 virus has affected traditional classroom teaching methods?
Yeah, actually, no one has imagined that, though like we are living in the era of technology, no one has imagined that the use of technology will be so high after COVID-19 within 2 months. Like you can see that there are lots of webinars is going on, flooded, right, rather we can say.
Yes.
And like we also have taken our final year exams using the making the use of technology, which we
Yes.
haven't done before it. Like we used to take for MCQ online exam, but not like Viva or other modes of examination using technology. So this has impacted in a great way that literally it has transformed the complete education system. Like we say that teaching, learning and assessment is heart of any education system. And because of this pandemic, now it has impacted, and that impact will remain, I mean, say forever. It's not that okay, after corona has gone, even the technology or use will gone. No, it is that impact will remain because there are many advantages as well. Yeah.
Thank you. My next question will be, what is your opinion about the influence of e-learning method as a learning method?
Okay, see, when we talk about learning of students, basically the major challenge is engagement of students. Like we don't know, like when in the class when teacher is teaching, at least with the eye contact, one can know whether the student is paying attention or not. But in
Yes.
e-learning, it's very difficult to understand. Means, for example, someone is watching my lecture, but I don't know at the student side really he or she is attending my lecture or not. So for that there are many what you can say innovative ways that we have to use to assess. Like I can ask in between uh, some poll is given to give the answers, or some immediate assignment which student don't know at what time it is going to pop up on the screen. So with e-learning, one can have a very good engagement of students, but there is lot of innovative ideas are required for that. Just face to face giving lecture will not work. Surely it will not work.
You are absolutely right. So what's your opinion on the impact of COVID-19 on global higher education?
Yeah, when we talk about global higher education, basically we talk about higher education worldwide, right? Now, if we see, like there are in the world different ranking agencies are there, QS, Times, and they are basically talk about the quality of the higher education on different parameters. Institute or university is going getting assessed. Now, because of the COVID-19, see, when we talk about impact, basically it is related with the mobility of the students. Like many students from India go abroad for studying purpose in various universities, top ranked universities. Many students come to India as well. So that is definitely going to impact, because physical mobility now, at least for 1 year, it's not possible. But does it mean that there will be no international students? No, definitely it's not like that. So if we have some innovative methods in our curriculum, like for example COIL, which is called as collaborative online international learning, and if we have a collaboration with other universities and the tie-up with the courses, degree courses, certificate courses, or what we can say is credit transfer, then definitely it is going to. So more collaboration is possible actually in this pandemic, because of this pandemic, and which will be useful because our students will also get access with the of the teaching of the foreign university faculty, and same with them also.
Yes, yes. Next one will be how you define internationalization, and in current scenario, what's the effect on internationalization of higher education, ma'am?
Yeah. See, when we talk about internationalization, the very proper definition of internationalization is like it talks about again how many students are outgoing, how many students are coming to India, how many faculty are going outside for teaching or maybe for conferences, and similarly how many foreign faculties are coming to the Indian campuses. That is internationalization. But now because of this COVID, now definition of internationalization is going to change. There is something called as internationalization at home. Means what? Suppose I have an exposure of foreign country or maybe some course over there, then I will try good practices to implement in my campus so that my students will get, okay, what is culture over there, which teaching pedagogy is used over there. And like this, like we are making try to make our student as a global citizen, because that is, see, in today's era, if students have to succeed, they should have the skill set which is worldwide accepted or globally which is required. So there this internationalization is going to play a major role, and in that also internationalization at home, because physical mobility is not possible now, currently at least.
Absolutely correct. Yes. मतलब students should learn the skills from home only.
Yeah.
Next one, ma'am, how the role of teaching faculty has transformed or going to transform.
See, now role of teaching faculty, really speaking, is transformed a lot. Like many teachers or people are worrying that because of the technology now, uh, teachers will not required because now everything will be online.
Oh,
It's
yes.
not the case. If technology is coming, it doesn't mean that teacher will replace, but definitely if teachers don't update themselves, or if they don't learn technology, then they are going to replace 101%. So now here teacher has to take the training of how to conduct online sessions. See, it doesn't mean that, for example, if I'm using Zoom, I know that I become a perfect teacher. Or say if I'm teaching on the blackboard, traditional method, and I'm very excellent teacher, but they can give the effective teaching, and student also will not get bored, rather they will get engaged. And even as like many times we say that, "Arey, this teacher always see talk in the same monotonous way and it's boring." So same way, if you just use one technology, students will not appreciate. Students are 10 steps ahead of the teacher. So teacher has to learn various platforms of technologies. Initially it will be something like a action research, that they have to find out that for which subject which technology is most suitable. May not be for maths, if I am using some platform, it might not work for some other theory subject or some practical subject. So from that point of view, teacher has to do a little bit research and find out which is effective for their subject for a certain topic. And if possible, definitely they have to make use of a blended thing. Means like it's not that completely everything will be shut down. So whenever there is an actual interaction with the students, then some other way. And for online part, some technology will be used.
Means it clearly means for students as well as for teachers also we need to accept and improve many things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So ma'am, currently on 11th June, NIRF ranking is announced, right? What is your
Yeah.
perception about NIRF and how different it is from world rankings, ma'am?
Yeah, see, NIRF ranking is a ranking started in 2015 by MHRD, India. And that ranking basically assess the quality of Indian institutes, Indian universities on certain parameters like teaching, learning, outreach, perception regarding the institute or university. So there are various parameters on which they actually do the ranking, and they support the top 25 universities or ranking institutes for in terms of funding to improve on a better way so that they can go for international ranking. Whereas in international ranking, some of the parameters are different of assessing the quality of a education. See, normally we observe that like we don't get international students from countries like Europe, but we get from African countries, which are the developing countries. But India has a very huge potential in terms of talent. So now this is the time after pandemic, if teachers over here, if they can build up in terms of, because as I told you, like everything will be now through the technology, if they can develop some courses which are like curriculum is developed considering the international standards, then definitely we will get the students from developed countries as well. And that is, since young population in India is very huge, even our students will not need to go abroad every time. If our institutes are good, if our universities are reached to some standard level in terms of a quality, then definitely students will also prefer studying in India itself. So just now it's like on fingertips, very few universities or institutes are there which are providing a like fulfilling all these quality mandates in terms of a teaching, learning, or what you can say placement, all these things. So in NIRF ranking is basically, it's a very good step taken by the government, so that like everyone will try to compete that I want to be get ranked in the first 100, and so obviously automatically the quality will get improved. And once quality will get improved, definitely we will get ranking internationally as well.
Okay, ma'am. Last question I want to ask, what you would like to say to student community in COVID era scenario?
See, for students, it's very important, as I told, that as teachers are taking efforts for learning technology, students have also make their mindset. Now, maybe we will not get the previous scenario of like actually going to college, chatting with the friends physically, I'm talking like on WhatsApp, on mobile we always do. But there are many factors, like which cannot be done on the mobile. So physical presence is required. But students now basically they have to accept that now our sessions will be online. Then you should not get diverted. Like in the actual classroom, we switch off our mobile, or what we say, like we pay attention to teacher, maybe whatever fear is there. But now if they think that in online who is going to see me, it's not like that. If you really want to make a progress, rather now the what you can say, competition is bigger. So students also have to get trained, or be habituate with using the technology. And simple disciplines they have to bring, like we know that we have lots of infrastructural limitations are there, or maybe it's not that power is every time continuously there. So like suppose some we got some e-material, download them, or you can say properly classify them in the folders. So if they follow such things, then they will have all the material for every subject properly classified, and they can make use of that whenever they require. Even if like internet connectivity is not there, they can learn offline. And whenever online, they also try to develop the soft skills, that they will make one-to-one interaction with the teacher, so that you know they can learn many things from the teacher. Up till now it was, the mode was like direct teaching, but now it is flipped. It is called flipped classroom, that you are going to watch the video before coming to class, and then there will be a discussion. Previously it was teacher was teaching, then you go home, do the assignment. Now it's exactly opposite. First you are going to learn at home through the teacher, the material sent, and then you are going to discuss with the teacher. So you have to also prepare yourself for the new type of learning and getting engaged with the classroom.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We got a brief idea about how students as well as teachers need to accept the scenario and how it is transformed the learning process and teaching process also. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, ma'am.